What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Daemons of the Shadow Realm, episode 15. So in this episode, so Yoru tries to remember his past with Danji, because he's wondering if his friendship with Danji was actually real, or was it just like a basically a job for Danji. Now when he returns from pondering whatever, the the little dog was like was like being friendly like dogs are, because dogs are awesome. When your returns, Danji's left to search for the fake Asa. So Dara tells Yoru about a ransom, about the whole thing that Hannah told him. And so they go to the main point to figure out to find the hostage taker. So and so and Jin gives the intelligence he got with Dara, but he gives it to the Kagamoris. So Gonzo leaves the Kagamori house with Gabby and two bodyguards, Natsuki and Fuyuki. And so Yoru, Dara, left and right. They go to the warehouse where they're supposed to meet whoever's holding the fake Asa hostage. And so a daemon ambushes Yoru. The daemon's made out of butterflies. Left and right chase the daemon. Ivan teleports in Yoru away to wherever Asuma and Shingo are. And Asuma offers to unlock the power seal if for Yoru to unlock it. If Asuma of course lets him lets if Yoru lets Asuma kill him, because that's how the power has to be unlocked. And Dara left and right fight Ivan, and Ivan, you know, wants to tries to kill left to keep her from interfere with Seal. So yeah, I mean, because left and right they're supposed to be counterparts for Seal and Break and all that. And so yeah, I like this episode. They're saying Ivan is like the big threat. At least for now. Like we'll see how things like go with this fight. And how Yoru handles Asuma, and how I guess any other Kagamoris can handle Asuma. It seems like not, of course, not all the Kagamoris agree on how to handle Yoru, and of course, in Higashi Village. So yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Now, episodes 15 and 16. So in these episodes, so Mao fights Shiranui, and so yeah, so they fight, and then Mao asked how is Lady Sana alive. Shiranui says Sana's dead. So he realizes that you're like that Yuriko like had met had met Mao. So we'll see. Like obviously there's questions, because like Shiranu doesn't like says that Yuriko's not Sana. Now, however things have gone, there's obviously a lot of questions. And then basically Shiranui wants to spell, because obviously everyone thinks that Mao is like allied with the Biyuki, even though he's not. So we'll see how that goes. Like, and so yeah, so and it's real that Mal in his monster form took out Shiranui's legs. That's why Shiranui is like bound to the water so that he can like move and stuff. So we'll see how a lot of that goes. But yeah, I thought this was so. Then after that, and, Hyaka and Kamon arrive. They get and Nanaka. They arrive, get him out, get you know they get Mao out of there. Then after that, Mao and Hyaka try to investigate attack on the village. And basically, years ago, Hyaka was attacked by someone in a mask. And then when Mao and Hyaka confront and Kamon confront the mask guys, really Hakabi, who's like a senior disciple of the Goku clan. And so Hakabi had learned that learned that those who are summoned for that ritual, they can injure and kill each other. And Hakabi injures Hyaka, which so Mao and he causes Mao to go into his monster form, his beast form, whatever. And so Hakabi, he theorizes that the master wanted the Biyuki to possess. He wanted to control the Biyuki, and like, and then the Biyuki, of course, went berserk, or whatever. So yeah, and then Nanika asks Biyuki if Sana's alive. She mentioned that Siana seems to be alive in Taisha era, and Biyuki, who was the was Sana's cat, says Sana's dead. Like he like so it seems like if Sana's dead, then then there's something going, like whatever the deal with Yuriko is. There's definitely some mysteries. So yeah, I thought these were good episodes, like how like they're building up the mystery with Yuriko, Shiranui. Of course, Huckabee has his own agenda. We'll see how that all goes down. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Looking forward to the next one. Black Torch, episode 3. So in this episode, Ichika is ordered to be a Jiro's like escort, and she hates Mononoke's, and you know, and so basically, so then but the transport wire is attacked by like some Mononoke's, and you see Ichika's, you see some of her backstory. So her mother was killed by a Mononoke, and basically Ichika's like generally in her family, the the men, are the heirs to like the leadership of the family. There's no male heir, so she's supposed to be the heir now. And so, um, you see, Jiro helps Ichika against Mononoke's, like helps defeat him, and so Ichika I guess starts tolerating him more. And Ryosuke Shiba talks with the bureau elders, and he asks for a team called Black Torch built around Jiro and, and Reigo, I guess to fight against the Mononoke. So you see new team members, including Jiro and Ichika. You have Hana and Reiji, and so they're saying like the rest of the season with this team. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I thought this was a you know good episode. Like how like they're trying to set up like the team. Set up obviously the show's called Black Torch, so obviously the titles was probably gonna come in at some point. I mean, it ain't like with Bleach where it was never explained how the heck Bleach, like why Bleach was the title, like within the show. So yeah, so we got this Blackthorn team fight against Mono case. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking for the next one. Recommendations from Mr. Iwamoto, episode 3. So in this episode, so there's this cocoon that's appeared And so everyone's at the Seiho's trying to deal with that. So you have like all the different things with this, like because you have all the supernatural students, whatever. So then, yeah. So you have a character named Okino's the one who made the cocoons, something to do with all his bugs. Yeah. So he has these like bug powers or whatever. Yeah. And so, he was able to solve it, get it all dealt with. Yeah. So I thought it was a decent episode. You know, like I thought it was interesting how they dealt with the cocoon. How they all got deal. But yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. Looking forward to the next one. Agent Kim reactivated episodes 7, 8. So in these episodes, Kim reunites with Minji, and so Kim, Hansu, Jinchio, Minji escape, but Jinchio, basically trapping all the the South Korean agents with like in this area that was like about to explode, and that's revealed later. It's kind of a prank. It's clearly it's not actually gonna explode. But then so they head to so Kim tells SMD that like hey, until he's sure that Minji's safe, actually he won't turn over. But then he goes to to like Ju Kang Chan like John's like mansion or whatever and beats the crap out of him. And he's ready to kill him to protect Minji. Minji asks him to spare him, and Kim tells Ju Kang to you know like ask for forgiveness, and Ju Kang does, and that's as far as everyone knows, that's the end of it with him. But Kim and Minji say goodbye. They have like a birthday meal, and then Kim's arrested by South Koreans, but then he's transferred to North Korea, and so he starts being tortured by his North Korean soldier, and he's basically that the soldier whoever gets like tased, whatever, knocked out or whatever. And it's revealed it's like actually like a test or whatever. He's actually not a in North Korean custody, but then like he's sent to actually told he's sent to like basically help or do a secret mission for the South Korea to get this defector to there's supposed to be some peace talks between North and South Korea, and there's a defector. If they help him and become known but to North Korea about that, it would cause problems. So basically Kim has to like secretly get the defector to a safe house, keep him safe and all that, until like the peace talks are done, they can worry about then. So and then yeah, so and then basically in this, so then Hongshu and Jinchiol, they're freed. They're kind of left this field, and they're able to reunite with their families. And and the whole deal of them being tranked, the whole process of how they got tranked is so funny because Jinchio, it takes so many tranks to actually put him down, and then Hongshu just keeps like dodging them. It's so funny. And then um, so then the guy who's the defector is revealed to be Kim's basically the drill sergeant from when he was in North Korea. Who's now who was well now former director, Bureau Intelligence for North Korea. Um, and yeah, Kim is conflicted about that, but he does his job, gets him to the safe house, and then the talks start, and Ju Kang Chan is like his hotel is hosting it. The and he learns about what's go about the defector, and the North learns about it, and then he reveals and he offers to help the North with that in exchange for him being the one who gets to kill Kim. And so yeah, but then um Kim is during the whole like chase or whatever when they're trying to so the main agent like and then they're saying like so he said they're gonna give like the two North Koreans back to so Kim and the former director they're gonna be seemingly like they're gonna be sent back to the North to I guess with to smooth things over. So yeah, that's gonna cause some problems. But yeah, I thought these were good episodes. Dude, the action's freaking awesome. You know, if they had ended it with episode 7, it's like basically like, says his last goodbye, goes to prison, and you didn't have the whole him in the North Korea. That probably would have been a satisfying ending. Of course, now you have this big mission tagged on at the end. We'll see how that goes. Like the rest of this mission, because there's 2 episodes left. I really like these episodes. Looking forward to the next one. The Real Wolf of Wall Street. So this is a documentary series on Paramount Plus. It's about like the story of Jordan Belfort and his firm Stratton Oakmont, and it uses interviews, from like people of also like a lot of the other brokers and his ex-wife, Nadine Caluso, and the FBI, some FBI personnel involved in the investigation. And so basically, they kind of say that yeah, the movie was the movie embellished a lot of things, which I'm not that surprised. And because a lot of that was stated to be from Belfort's point of view, and you know, basically like they give their side of the story of like what all went down, and with like they said yeah here's what the movie did get right, here's what yeah it's complete fiction. And so they talk about how like the movie helped Belfort like make a lot of money, portraying as like this really good salesman. And a lot of people have wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to play them, which yeah, I mean DiCaprio's a good actor. I mean, like honestly, I don't know why it took as long as it did for DiCaprio to win Best Actor. But like, yeah, I mean, so yeah, this goes to a lot of the history, and I actually think this documentary is better than the movie Wolf of Wall Street. Like, it gets to a lot of the details. Like, does a lot better job at getting into a lot of it. And I guess with like basically a 3 hour full like 3 hour documentary, I mean across 3 episodes, but basically approximately 3 hour documentary, it handles a lot of that well. So yeah, I highly recommend this documentary. Monster Eater episodes 1 through 3. So these 3 episodes appeared on YouTube. The far as the rest of the other 9 episodes go, they at the time recording this, they haven't. So yeah, I just watched these 3. I don't know if the other 3 will appear or if they'll wait a while to do that. I don't know. So as far as the quality of these, yeah. So basically in this show, um, so Rudd, is an adventurer. He learns how to eat monsters to, you know, get stronger, whatever. Basically, he's left for dead by, you know, his party, and basically the party's like that party's like they're basically punished, whatever. So the animation, I will say, it makes One Punch Man season three's animation look good. Like One Punch Man season three's animation had some problems, especially in the later as the season went on. Like early episodes of that season, what was as the problems didn't cause as many problems. Of course, later on caused a lot more, especially with the writing getting worse in that season. But so this show, the animation is way worse than that. Significantly worse. Whatever Christmas we have about beginning after the end, One Punch Man, Blue Lock season two, or any whatever shows that people criticize the animation quality for. Anyway, uh, this is pretty freak like 3D Demon Slayer animation is better than this, and Ufotable is pretty bad at 3D whenever they're not making a movie. I mean, the animation's freaking awful. Like the story's not really interesting. Like the writing's not really that great. It freaking sucks. Like the writing's like boring, whatever. Like this, the animation's so bad it just really makes it like the premise is interesting. Is like okay, he eats monsters to get stronger. Okay, cool. Do something with that. They basically do nothing. I'm like, what the frick is this? This is garbage. Like it is so bad. Like it is freaking terrible. I was like, what the heck is going on? Where's like anime writing? Like, cause like anime generally has good writing for the most part. This was like, I don't even think there was even any writing involved with this. I mean, it was like Chat GBT make like it was like someone just put a premise in Chat GBT and popped out this garbage. Like, what the frick? Like, these were not good episodes. If the rest of the episodes released, I'll watch them to review them. But it'll be just to review them, not because I actually want to watch them. Because these three were not good. The Odyssey. So, Odyssey is the Christopher Nolan movie that came out, adapting the classic the myth by Homer. So when it also adapts primarily the Odyssey, but he also brings in the Aeneid, so which is Virgil's telling of like the sack of Troy, from a the Trojan perspective. So yes, despite popular opinion, the sack of Troy, the Trojan horse, all that is actually not in the Iliad. Like it's actually not like the like the epic cycle, like you know like the epic cycle, that like which is more than just that. Like there's more than just like the Odyssey and the Iliad. You have the Cypria, which is a lot of people believe the writer for that is Stasinus, you know, and then you had Athi the Aethiopus, which is it's a lost epic. You know, basically it takes place after the Iliad, and a lot of people believe that Ar- Arctinus of Miletus wrote that, and basically only a few lines survive. It's after the death of Hector and all that. You know, And then you have, the Little Iliad, you know, basically like so. Like this deals with like this mostly the end of the Trojan War. It doesn't deal with the Iliad. Like the Iliad does not really appear at all in this. Like people say, yeah, they do not use it. It's the Aeneid and the Odyssey. Like you have the Aeneid where you know which is so basically in this here's how the movie goes. So it starts off. It spends like a first spends a lot of time. Start with Telemachus. Played by Tom Holland. You know, who some reason does an American accent instead of his British accent because like he's British. Like honestly, like the British accent with like no one like really no one's outside of like Robert Pattinson's character. You know, Antinous actually sounds um European. Everyone just sounds American, even though they should, at least try to sound Greek. Anyway, so you have a bar played by Travis Scott, in Ithaca's palace, talking about Odysseus, his efforts in the Trojan War. He's known as the hero of, the Trojan War. Of course, you have all these suitors, who want to marry Odysseus's queen consort Penelope, who's like the regent. Because Telemachus wasn't old enough to rule. Now, Telemachus at this point should be old enough to rule, but for whatever reason he's not on the throne. Like even the myth, like there's probably some politics involved that prevent that. You know, so Penelope, Telemachus, and Eumaeus, who's like a half-blind, servant, they believe Odysseus will return. Then you have, the dog, um, Argos, who's like really old, is waiting for the master. You know, good dog. You know, it's a good dog. So Telemachus goes with Mentor, to like to go to meet Menelaus, King of Sparta, to find news of Odysseus. And so and Menelaus, he's the husband of Helen of Troy, who myth ran off with Paris to Troy, which helped kickstart the war. So Menelaus is like tells um Telemachus that like that his brother Agamemnon, who was like I guess the more prominent king, um basically you know so it took Menelaus year and Helen like years to return, and Agamemnon was like the first turn, but he was killed by his wife, who is Helen's half sister, uh, you know, Clytem Clytemnestra. And so, Agamemnon sacrificed Iphigenia to for safe travel. Now, in the myth, the reason like in the epic cycle, the reason Agamemnon sacrificed his daughter was because he killed one of Artemis's sacred stags, and basically Artemis's retaliation was basically you know the Greeks can't reach Troy unless Agamemnon kills Iphigenia as a sacrifice. You know, and yes, there's stories where alleged Artemis rescues her, and she then goes to the Tarians to meet her brother Orestes. That's in some versions, however that goes down. It a lot of the mythology is removed. So now there's some stuff that might be mythological, some that could just be from drugs or PTSD, visions, whatever. So like and so then so and so Telemachus return and then returns to Ithaca, now more confident in himself than he was previously. Anyway, so before he returns, so Odysseus is try is he's basically been living with Calypso for a few. He's in these lotuses, so the lotus years is supposed to be a different part of that story. So, and Odysseus gradually remembers. So, in Troy, he came up with the Trojan horse. Now, Trojan horse is way too small in this. If you look at a Trojan horse in the movie, there is no way in hell all those Greek soldiers could fit in there. You can maybe fit one. You can fit probably one, maybe two. But given the size of it, you could not fit as many Greek soldiers as there were in there. Like that was not done to scale. Like it should be significantly bigger, like than that. And so Sinon, it was like the basically left behind, like told them was sent was there to like tell was not even aware of the deception was there to, and this is from the Aeneid of Sinon telling the Trojans that the Trojan horse is a gift from Athena. Sinon's killed. You know the Trojans who like their armor does not fit them. Like what the armor, like a lot of armor does not fit the time for like Agamemnon's armor does not fit. Even though look he's a king, so yeah, his armor may be more unique than other and like basic foot soldiers, but you know, I I mean it's like I don't recall in the myth like anything about like Agamemnon being above Menelaus and Odysseus. Like their whole deal of work together was part of a pact of like, Odysseus's plan was to have all the potential suitors for Helen of Troy because Odysseus was a potential suitor at the before her marriage to Menelaus. That all the suitors would pledge to protect her and protect her marriage with whoever the you know married her, which was Menelaus. So Odysseus, the Trojan horses take into Troy. The Greeks get out. You know, kill a few of the Trojans, open the gates, and Agamemnon leads a force into Troy, and they sack the city. And so there's a girl, a priestess of Athena. Now Athena's statue is like decapitated, whoever the heads, and then at the same time, a girl played by Zendaya is decapitated, and she appears in visions of of Odysseus as like Athena, and it's supposed to play the whole Zeus's law about like basically treat others the way you want to be treated. So like if you have guests, you're supposed to treat them respectfully. Basically, don't do violence unless they do it first. And so basically, it's supposed to be like yeah, the Trojan War, yeah, they broke Zeus's law, and they had there's like I guess maybe a possibility that the girl that was decapitated was actually Athena in human disguise. It was like some shapeshifter or whatever. I mean, look, God, like deities having shapeshifting abilities, not out of the real possibility, I guess. So Odysseus's group leaves on a different route. Odysseus kind of doesn't want to follow Agamemnon. He's like, I followed him for 10 years. No, he they go different. He's like, well, hey, we'll get back, but maybe we'll see the world. So he's not in a real hurry to get back, despite 10 years of war. Probably not the smartest thing. I mean, if there was like a safety route where there was a more dangerous route he didn't want to get, that been, but whatever. They take out a lot of the mythology. So they go to Polyphemus's island, and a bunch of them get killed. They get trapped in the cave. They have to figure out how to get out. Then they land on Aea, you know, where they come across the Lystragonians, which are these giants now. Okay, them having this some fancy middle ages armor. So why they were just there in their armor randomly. Like there was a kid in the armor that was screaming, and then all the adults started killing a bunch of soldiers. Now in the myth, they're like these cannibalistic aliens believed to be descended from Lystragon, who's the son of Poseidon, and possibly Gaia. Yeah, yeah, Poseidon. Which you know, yeah, which is the problem because Gaia is basically Poseidon's grandmother. I mean, well, that whole family tree is weird. Like, like that family tree is freaking weird. Anyway, so so basically, then you know, after they escape the Lystragonians, then they come across some of the soldiers come across Cersei, who thinks they're there to rape her, pillage her howsoever. So she turns a bunch of the men into pigs. Odysseus basically convinces her to, you know, Odysseus convinces her to change his men back after he killed the deer that was previously a man. Now, it's not confirmed whether that was magic or if it was like some drugs or whatever. Now, so Cersei tells Odysseus that to reach Ithaca, he must cross Oceanus into the underworld. So, and you'll meet with the dead. And that's a whole thing, so Oceanus is like a water titan, like so then so he crosses into and he meets like the shade Tiresias, who's like a prophet of Apollo, and then and so basically he meets the one main ones he talks to are Sinon, who basically replaces Achilles in this. Sinon reveals that he learned that Antinous, who's his brother in this movie, I don't think that's necessarily the case in the myth. Um, reveals that Antinous is like basically he's just being evil, whatever. And that Agamemnon reveals that he died, and he tells Odysseus if he returns home, go into disguise and have a layout and try to get some intel early on before making his grand return, so that he needs to make sure he won't just be killed shortly after arriving. That's probably solid advice. Now, Agamemnon's wife, one thing that Menelaus tells Telemachus that he sent Agamemnon's son to kill, Clytemnestra and her lover, who was Agamemnon's cousin. So, so then, following Tiresias, guy Odysseus leads them to like this area where you have Charybdis and Scylla. So they got to choose. So Odysseus suggests Charybdis. Now he's told that if they go to Charybdis, everyone dies, but if they go to Scylla, only 6 will die. So the crew decides to go to Scylla because it looks like goes to like this like little passage where it's safer, and that's where Scylla arrives and eats 6 of them. And so they're like, "You knew about this monster? Why didn't you say anything?" He's like, "Well, we all die if we went to Charybdis." So you know, and then they end up on Thrinacia, where Odysseus tells him that he was told that you know Tiresias told him that Odysseus would be killed for slaughtering and eating the cattle of Helios, who is the sun god. Now, yes, in Greek mythology, there was a point where a lot of the sun god duty was given from Helios to Apollo think it was like to like save money on sacrifices, whatever. Yeah, very convenient for pagan religion to change things for their benefit, you know. Yeah, so they when supplies run out, the crew decides to say screw it, we'll eat the cattle. And then once they leave, the wind that was keeping on the island dies down, and the storm kills all Odysseus' crew. Odysseus alone, wash up on Ogygia, where Calypso, finds him, drugs him, nurses him about the health, whatever. So Calypso, once Odysseus remembers everything, he, leaves and, returns to Ithaca and Eumaeus, so he meets up with Eumaeus. Now he's in disguise, so Eumaeus doesn't recognize him, and he learns the situation that there are some suitors sent some assassins to try to assassinate Telemachus and Mentor. So Odysseus help he so now Mentor dies, but Odysseus rescues Telemachus, and he calls himself Sinon. So Telemachus guides Odysseus to a place where he pretends to be like a beggar. Now Odysseus sees Argos, comforts him. Argos, obviously recognizes Odysseus and dies peacefully after meeting his master. So Telemachus realizes that the beggar is Odysseus. Odysseus says he's just a beggar, but he said when his father does return, he is proud of Telemachus. And Telemachus knows what Odysseus is meaning there. And then during now there's a feast, so Odysseus kind of, since he seems just a beggar, like some of the suitors of Dream Valley, and he gives Antinous his little rod thing that Sinon had. It's like where they had to pick a lottery, whatever, to figure out who was going to go to war. To know manipulate his way out of going. And Odysseus claims his name is Sinon. His name is Sinon in honor of a soldier he knew. Antinous is like concerned when he hears that. And so Telemachus convinces him to stop basically bullying the beggar, which is Odysseus. And he tells so he's like, meal's over, time to leave. Now the beggar, since he had said he started with Odysseus in the war, Penelope has to talk to him, learn about her. And he says, they violated Zeus's law with the Trojan horse. And, they basically, so like he believes that, he says, he's just, they did terrible things and that, and he says, maybe their deeds, inspired the whole people. Because there's whole thing, people believe there are sea peoples that are about to raid. Now, so the sea people, that is a thing. So the Trojan War is believed to take place around the 13th or 12th century BC. So, which is around the end of the Bronze Age. So, you know, and so the Bronze Age, you have the Bronze Age collapse. Which that whole deal is it's there's a lot that happened. A lot of people don't know exactly what went down. Because you had and you had in Egypt, Anatolia, the Aegean Sea, Eastern Libya, Balkans, and a lot in around the Mediterranean area, you had Middle East and all that. A lot of stuff happened that led to you know the Greek Dark Ages, the Archaic Age, you had the Hittite Empire, you had the Assyrians, um, game power. You had some stuff was going up here some people there was a lot of groups and invasions by sea peoples was believed to be uh cause for it. Now a lot of people don't know who was the sea peoples. A lot of people believe it was some people from places from the Lucca lands, which was in Anatolia, and some people associate that with Lycia. and and then like so, and you have Phil, Peleset, which some people associate with the Philistines from the Bible, and you have the Wesesh, as far and some people associate with like the Oskians, which is like in South Italy, like southern Italy, whatever. So there's like a lot of people associated with some of these areas, and maybe some people from the Aegean Sea. So like the sea peoples now, I can see the Philistine one. I mean because you had the Philistines, you have the Nephilim are associated with them because you had Goliath, the Anak, you have Anak, those are like Philistine territory, and so you had like so and that was probably involved, and also now of course with with a lot of now for like the late Bronze Age, also you had that was also you know so like basically you have some of the books of the Bible. You have like some people believe like the books like the Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges are around like the some people estimate it's like in the 13th century BC through 12th century BC, that time frame for those books, which would be around the late Bronze Age. So maybe the Bible gives some hint at what maybe caused the end of the Bronze Age is like God's judgment on different nations. You know, Anyway, back to this because the actual history of some of this period of history actually is interesting. Some of the real history involved. The movie doesn't do a good job at that. But anyway, so Odysseus, so Penelope says, "Hey, whoever can strum this bow like Odysseus did, which it was a bow only he could knew how to do, and then shoot the arrow through the axes, will win her hand. All the suitors that try fail." Antonius is like, "Yeah, we get it. We none of us." Antonius, he's like, "Yeah, we get it. Like we can't do it." But Odysseus is like seeing still bad. He's like, "I haven't tried." So the suitors are crying, and like Eumaeus and Antonius like, "Hey, he has the right to try. He's here," and all the doors are locked. So Odysseus does it. When he strums the bow, like Penelope's thinking, "Wait a second, what?" And then Antinous is like trying to run because once he sees he's so strong to bow, he's like he seems like he knows like, oh crap, that's Odysseus. And then once he shoots the bow, like the arrow through like the axis, whatever, the bard guy is like, you're Odysseus, and then he gets killed immediately. So Odysseus is like, all right, he just like uses bow, starts killing people. None of the weapons are there, so but one of the suitors tries to go grab some weapons. Why that door wasn't locked, I don't know. So, but Telemachus kills is like gets a fight with the guy. He ends up killing that suitor to like win the fight. Like you know, and so that suitor, Melitheus, like he's killed by Telemachus, and so when he's trying to get some weapons out, and so Odysseus kills like a bunch of suitors, Polybus, yeah, Melantho, and like Antinous is like the last one killed, and whatever suitors are left remain after Odysseus kills with them, they surrender. A lot of the servants who were um basically basically they were screwing some of the suitors. They all surrender, and so since Odysseus broke the Zeus's law, he and Penelope go to exile to like sail west to honor the dead, and Telemachus becomes king. Now, okay, so in the myth, Odysseus and Telemachus just kill all of them. They kill all the suitors, kill whatever servants were working with them, and then Athena keeps the families from retaliating. Like Odysseus, like he just like there is, and yet there's yes, you have some currency stuff. Like I don't think it's called Zeus's Law. I can't remember what the term is, but it's like So yeah, I did not like this movie. Like some of the set pieces where the armor, I would have liked if you're trying to look. This is a historical fiction. You should try and make it look like the time period. Like so, let the armor look like the time period, the set design, because weren't ruins at the time. The Trojan armor, that I don't think that would be the armor they would wear in Troy in that time period. I mean, that's more middle age armor, like, or maybe even later than that. But like, and the Lystragonians, well, they're giants. Well, it's possible the giants would have some more advanced armor or and weaponry, whatever, because they're giants. Some demon blood in them. Maybe they know a thing or two about advanced weaponry. You know, and yeah, they leave like and obviously the pacing's way too fast. I mean, this should be a TV show because it's a very episodic story. So like it's a very episodic story. So you make sense. This would make sense for it to be a TV show. And so you have it's not a very heroic story. So it leaves out the whole nobody trick that Odysseus pulls on Polyphemus. And Laertes, who's Odysseus' father, is removed from the story. Basically, he had died before then in the movie. Now, in the actual epic poem, he's still alive. Then you have a lot of stuff regarding like Hermes. Achilles is mentioned, but he doesn't appear. Even though Achilles is supposed to be one of the ones. Sidon looks like seems to take the role of like Achilles and Elpenor. And now in this Rigel's myth, like you know, Odysseus, he basically takes the throne in Ithaca. Like he doesn't get exiled. He takes the throne. Like he's in charge. Athena gets the families to not retaliate. It's a more hopeful end. And so a lot of like the Odysseus is like his wisdom, like his like intelligence is not brought as much. The Trojan, like the Trojan War is basically dragged to Troy. I'm like, how does this thing not break? It's made out of wood. Like you would think someone would make a noise, and no one could fit in it. No one could fit in that. Like there ain't enough room in that tiny horse for all those Trojans, for all the Greeks. Like what the heck? And like they should have had Achilles appear, Ajax, whatever. Like anyway, like this should be like honestly for this story, I think would be cool would be a whole TV show with the whole epic cycle, and any other associated texts. You obviously you have the Greek ones, like the one like you have all the Greek sources, like the entire epic cycle. Then you have the Aeneid from the Trojan perspective, and a few other ones. Because a lot of the Roman, Latin writers, they gave the Trojan perspective because of Romulus and Remus were descendants of Aeneas, which where you get the term Aeneid. So and with the whole like the Trojan War mark that led to, would just say the what we did in Troy like is going to end this Bronze Age, which was not called the Bronze Age at the time because you don't really know an age ends until years later. And the whole the Sea Peoples will come, which like if you want to show that like that the Trojan what the Greeks did in Troy led to help lead herald the end of like a lot of things. What they should done, if you're gonna show that to have give it more bleak wear, you show Romulus and Remus. Maybe like if you have like you can maybe show a montage of like you show Aeneas like you show like Aeneas like leaving like fleeing some refugees from Troy, with those surviving Trojans being the ancestor of the Romans, You know, like you could have shown that as like a hint at like what was to come because the Romans take over like Greek territory and all that. And like there was such like I mean the downplaying the mythology was stupid. Like if you're like this is supposed to be an adaptation of the Odyssey. Like you're doing strip, you just do strip standard, bring full on mythology, bring it all in there. Just do the standard story. Like when you're just doing it, this ain't like something where like there are times where you can do like some, but if you're just doing one myth, you don't ground it. You do like you keep the full mythology. When you're doing a full on like over like across multiple myths, you can make it way ground and say, yeah, here maybe how it happened in history, where it's like using the Bible, like how things, based on how the Bible displays things, how things had gone, in that time period, using historical and mythological sources and other religious texts, whatever, along with the Bible. Like there's like that's what you can maybe do that, but that's for across multiple forget not just one myth. When you're doing one myth, you just do the myth, full on mythology. And I know no one likes to ground things, and the sound had some problems. Like in the dialogue should not sound like current day America. It should sound like the time period. A very proper like Telemachus should not be saying dad or daddy. He should say father. Like he should say father. Everyone should be talking more proper. Like in Lord of the Rings, like Game of Thrones. Um, they all talk, in a way that would fit in those stories. The Northmen, by Robert Eggers. Robert Eggers would do a better Odyssey, in my opinion. You know, like I mean, as far as actors wise, I mean, Robert Pattinson does the best acting job in this. Like he does the best acting job, and like the other actors, it's like they're just playing themselves. Like they should not sound American. It should sound Greek. It's like sound. It needs to sound like Europeans. So like there was so this kind of story had so much potential, but it didn't fulfill it. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.